Whenever the conversation turns to UFOs and the whole military-industrial complex, there's one name that just seems to suck up all the oxygen in the room. But what if we've been looking at the wrong giant this whole time? Today, we're going to open the file on a company that has, somehow, managed to stay just out of the spotlight. Northrop Grumman. All right, let's just lay it out. On one side, you've got Lockheed Martin. They're the rock stars, right? The legendary Skunk Works, the company that's always, and I mean always, at the very center of UFO lore. But then, over here, you have Northrop Grumman, the silent partner, always kind of operating in the shadows. And it really makes you stop and think, why is that? And that right there is the big question we're digging into. How does a company this massive, this powerful, this technologically advanced, consistently fly under the radar in the whole UAP narrative? I mean, is that just a coincidence? Or is it by very, very careful design? Let's follow the evidence and see where it leads. So let's pull back the curtain on this company we're calling the Shadow Contractor, because it's time to look past their most famous public face, that iconic B-2 stealth bomber, and see what else might be going on just beneath the surface. I mean, just get a load of the sheer scale of their public-facing work. This is the company that built the only stealth bombers on the planet. They were a key player in the James Webb Telescope, for crying out loud, and they're pulling in over $30 billion a year. They've even got their own version of Skunk Works. The bottom line is, these guys have the money, the brainpower, and the culture of secrecy to handle pretty much anything you could throw at them. But see, their public resume is only one part of the story, because what if they didn't have to develop all their secrets from scratch? What if they just bought them? This is where things get really, really interesting. The idea that Northrop Grumman wasn't just buying companies, they might have been buying a pre-packaged, ready-made UFO legacy. Look at this timeline. It shows a really clear pattern. Northrop didn't just grow, it strategically absorbed some very specific players. It got parts of Sperry Rand, a company that's been linked to these programs for ages. It snapped up Teledyne Ryan. And then, the big one, in 2002, TRW Inc. Now, what's crazy is that insiders, people like Colonel Philip Corso, have specifically named these exact companies as being involved in the very earliest UFO reverse engineering work. And get this, Northrop Grumman itself called the TRW deal its capstone acquisition. This wasn't just another merger. This was the crown jewel. This was the big prize. So you have to ask yourself, what kind of secrets came along with that multi-billion-dollar price tag? Okay. To really get why this is so important, we need to talk about something called an FFRDC. Think of them as semi-private companies that do the government's most sensitive, top-secret research. Well, it turns out that TRW actually created one of these, called the Aerospace Corporation. And guess what? When whistleblower Dr. Eric Davis was asked to name the organizations involved in UAP programs, yep, the Aerospace Corporation was on his list. And this is where we might have a paper trail. You remember the famous Wilson-Davis memo? It talks about a Pentagon audit back in the 90s that almost blew the lid off these secret UAP programs. Well, fast forward to 2003. Northrop has to pay a $111 million settlement because its brand new subsidiary, TRW, got caught overcharging the government on space projects back in the early 1990s. Is it possible that overcharging was just code for the hidden budget that the audit almost found? Okay, so we've followed the money. We followed the corporate family tree. Now let's get out of the boardroom and go from the paper trail to actual physical places. We're going underground and completely out of sight to check out the clandestine facilities where all this secret tech might be hiding. So, welcome to Northrop's Tejon Ranch facility out in California. Officially, it's just a boring radar testing site, but unofficially, oh man, the stories are just wild. People out there have reported seeing giant boomerang craft and flying saucers in the sky right above it. There are these persistent rumors of a massive underground base. Some people say it goes 42 levels deep, hidden right there, and it gets even more specific. Engineers have linked this exact location to a reverse-engineered craft they actually call the Tehachapi Triangle. And listen, this isn't just anonymous chatter. This is a direct quote from a retired Air Force colonel, Steve Wilson. He was talking about a very specific anti-gravity disk. And he just said, flat out, the craft was made by Northrop Aerospace at their secret facility northeast of Lancaster, California. He's not being vague. He's literally pointing to a spot on the map. That quote from Colonel Wilson is the perfect way to get into our next section, because he is absolutely not the only insider to point the finger.
So let's open up the whistleblower files and start connecting the dots between a few key people who all keep naming the same contractor, Northrop Grumman.
Just look at the pattern here. It's really something. You've got Edgar Fouché, who links Northrop directly to the legendary TR-3B triangle. You have Colonel Wilson, who we just heard from, saying they flat out built an anti-gravity disk. And then there's testimony from a source deep inside Area 51's Project Redlight, who was apparently on Northrop's payroll for 17 years. We're talking 3 different sources, 3 different alleged secret projects, and they all lead back to one single company. All right, let's put it all on the table. It's time to connect all these threads and really lay out the full circumstantial case against Northrop Grumman. So when you boil it all down, the case really builds in 3 logical steps. Step 1, inherit. Northrop went out and strategically bought companies like TRW, companies already tied to UFO research, and in doing so, they may have inherited all those secret programs. Step 2, operate. They ran these hidden, clandestine facilities like the one at Tejon Ranch, a place that witnesses link directly to reverse engineering. And step 3, implicate. They have been named, specifically and repeatedly, by multiple insiders as a key player. It's a pretty powerful chain of circumstantial evidence, wouldn't you say? And that really brings us right to the end here, with this one big lingering thought. For decades, it feels like the entire public spotlight has been aimed somewhere else. But when you actually follow the acquisitions, when you look at the secret facilities, and you listen to the whistleblower testimony, the trail seems to lead right here. And it leaves us with one pretty unavoidable question. If any of this is true, what else is Northrop Grumman hiding in the shadows?